This a report back, giving you all facts, but a cold smack going off wax. This a report back, this a report back, giving you all facts, but a cold smack going off wax. Moments like this, reason why I stay in the movement. You know it's hard to go forward, gotta keep it moving. That inner strength that's passed down, you know how we use it. Talk to the whole collective so you know the crew lit. They done build with they family so they could tune in. Heard we serving ice cream, you could get the scoop, man. We be whipping up, healing while we making music. Saving fuses, facing Uzis, talking to the shooters. Said they could change their lives before they split medullas. Album got her from Aruga, born dodging troopers. But this street shit, man, you cannot maneuver. And what is worse, losing your life or losing the future? And you are both, so the world and I will need you. From the blocks to the institutions feeling see-through. Cause the real can't be you, that shit is lethal. Don't let them see you bleed, boo. Shine like a star, they'll climb mountains just to reach you. Would've thought you was bilingual cause your second language is to speak truth. Broadcasting the report back, there's no fib, just all facts. Those stories that we held back, we using those for raw stats. Going off wax, my balls black, no call facts, what you call that? That short kid on the block had to have heart just to get his ball back. While he sleeps, you can hear cockbacks, it's a war zone, can't stop that. His mom told him never talk back, and you don't wanna know his pop's at. This a report back, this a report back, giving you all facts, but a cold smack going off wax. This a report back, this a report back, giving you all facts, but a cold smack going off wax. This a report back, this a report back, giving you all facts, but a cold smack going off wax. This a report back, this a report back, giving you all facts, but a cold smack going off wax.
How could it stay quiet? We pull up causing a riot. We got that work and they buy it. If you wanna say, but then pull up and try it. Money calling, I just had to go get it. I was broke, so I made a decision. Fam need me, so I can't go to prison. In these streets, I'm a man on a mission. You do not want these problems. 38, we gon' pull up and solve them. Turn your man to a target. For the chicken, he gon' be on the market. You know how this goes. Hopelessness all around it shows. Swap my heart so cold. It's only right that the chain on froze. This the report back, spin all facts. Hit a ball where the court at. You slipped up, I saw that. Nobody move, I need all that. I done came too far for me to fall back. Came too far for me to fall back, but a fall back, but a fall back.
This a report back, this a report back, giving you all facts, but a cold smack going off wax. This a report back, this a report back, giving you all facts, but a cold smack going off wax. This a report back, this a report back, giving you all facts, but a cold smack going off wax. This a report back, this a report back, giving you all facts, but a cold smack going off wax.
We create space to make space so you can have space. So you can use the space to make the case to have the space. This the time to share, this is the time to build. This the real to recognize that real is real. I was a part of the drill, moving pieces a part of the field. My block is harder to chill, when war it's on it's harder to feel. No public place for kids to play, no black lives matter anyway. Politics is politics as usual anyway. Let's get back to the fact, report is here, it's back to the stats. When the pressure is on, reports conclude you back to the trap. Right, the silent keep filling up, gas prices keep going up, school system keep switching up, mass shooting keep popping up. Why do you look for police to arm, protect, control the street? When they training for we black, we deadly, we holding the heat. Shoot to kill, don't give them no chance and choke them out, don't let them breathe. Just in YOC report, 80% youth don't trust police. Police came with ACS, police locked they father up, police beat down Rodney King, police help kill Emmett Till, police sick them dog enough, police work with the DAT, police post on the block all day, police post on Facebook.
This a report back, this a report back, giving you all facts, but a cold smack going off wax. This a report back, this a report back, giving you all facts, but a cold smack going off wax. This a report back, this a report back, giving you all facts, but a cold smack going off wax. This a report back, this a report back, giving you all facts, but a cold smack going off wax.
I met Eddie Ellis in the early 1980s. He was a former leader of the Black Panther Party in Harlem, New York. I met him at Green Haven Correctional Facility, where he was serving a 25-year prison sentence as a result of the FBI's COINTEL program, which targeted him, accused him falsely of killing a man he didn't even know, and giving him this incredibly long prison sentence. In 1990, the Quakers sponsored a conference at Green Haven Correctional Facility. I was fortunate to be in attendance. Eddie presented a most powerful and thought-provoking lecture that I think we could all benefit from today. Falsely,
Peace, peace, peace. Resurrect, resurrect. Free the land, free the land, free the land. Free all our political prisoners. Shout out to everybody tuning in, tuning in. Holla, we back, we back. Corey in the building.
Peace, peace. Jasiri in the building.
Shout out to everybody. Share the live, share the live. Shout out to all of our family. Shout out to the H.O.L.L.A Legacy, YOC, and everybody that allow H.O.L.L.A and us to be representatives of H.O.L.L A that got us here. We want to send power to our ancestors. We are starting another web series. This is going to probably be a 2-part, maybe a 3-part series. We are soon to launch the Kabaka, Alice, and Luqmon Institution of Non-Traditional Approaches to Human and Healing Justice. Let me say that again, man. I gotta say that back. We are soon, very soon, to launch the Kabaka, Alice, and Luqmon Institute of Non-Traditional Approaches to Human and Healing Justice. Today we are going to talk about some of the coming events. Once again, remind people the analysis, the spirit of why we're doing this, honoring our elders and our ancestors for helping us get to this point. Thank y'all for joining us. Share the live, share the live, share the live. We are building this institution off of the work of the 1970 prison rights movement and the work that came before the 1970 prison rights movement, and how a lot of that was really facilitated for us as H.O.L.L.A coming into prison by, the Green Haven think tank, the Resurrection Study Group, the Bedford Hill Sisters. So we named our institution after those relationships that we had deep connection with, but that represents the larger portal of where our legacy comes from. So shout out to Kabaka, Eddie Ellis, shout out to Dr. Alice P. Green, and shout out to Larry Luqmon White and many of our ancestors that we name all the time and those that we don't name. We're going to start this program off with a libation. And a libation is an African ceremony, an African ritual, indigenous ritual that's been around since we've been around, since the pre-mortals of noon, since the waters was the waters, and before the waters was moving. And as the waters moved, a libation happened. And we've been doing libations ever since. Sometimes it's words, vocals, poetry. Sometimes it's liquids. This time we're gonna do a libation playing one of our elders' words. And these are words that he shared with H.O.L.L.A. So shout out to Larry Luqmon White.
The world views racism.
Racism, right?
They recognize racism. So that we have to change that. We have to go to the churches. We have to make the churches up. And they got some good, I got a whole list of them. Of the churches and who in the churches you got.
Thank you. You need that.
You need that. I gotta go downstairs and pull it out. I give it to you.
You need that.
That's what I used to do when I come home. You go to all the churches and stuff.
So he had
One thing, so this will give you all the advantage over everybody else. Don't nobody else see it that way. Your worldview ain't their worldview. Their worldview is the community worldview. You on a higher level, looking down.
From a distance, like you said, looking from a
That's
distance.
right.
To see what-
That's
what's
right.
going on.
When you went to jail and look back at the community, it ain't like you was in the community. Now you see. Oh, you really knew. Oh, now I see. We hollering here for better schools, for better education, better recreation, more recreation. Our communities hollering for the same thing. I gotta write them and tell them, so what you hollering for out here? Y'all want me to come out here and be a better person? I gotta have all the things that you say that you need out there so you can be a better person.
Merge that together.
That's it. That's it, man.
And I like how you merge the fact of we need to have our community, because there's a disconnect between what people think of in our
Right.
community, like what people in our community think of formerly of incarcerated people. Like these.
And not just incarcerated people. They look at certain groups out here in the street. They look at young blacks out here in the street. That's what that so-called hip-hop stuff or whatever it is, you know.
Yeah.
They say they ain't nothing about shooting up each other and all that kind of stuff. They are.
But I'm understanding that hip hop really came from us making peace.
Let me show you what happened to hip-hop there. When new guys come into prison, they would come and they tell us in the Lifers Organization. So I'd go out there and I see the young dudes looking at the block. I tell the officer know who I am. I said, you got new dudes and they got big time? Yeah, I want to go see it. So I keep it up. So I go down there. I said, listen, man. I said, got big time. All that. You have to learn how this prison works. The administration give you a rule book. They'll tell you all the rules and stuff to follow. What I'm here to tell you is how to follow them rules. You know? To give you help. So we line them up. They come to meetings. They join the organization. And then they be part of it, man. You know? Some of them wouldn't do it. But it fell apart, man. But you don't have the non-traditional approach to prisons now. Let me tell you about my group. When I came home, I did all this study. I told them, I said, man, I'll be back. I said, I'll be back. The commissioner let me back. I said, you crazy motherfucker. Commissioner, my ass. I'm making let you go back in this motherfucker. I came home. All the groups I was writing when I was in prison and stuff, they called me down, they want to hire me and stuff. I said, what you all about is re-entry. Helping people when they come home find jobs, you know, a place to stay, you know, acceptance in the community. That's not what I'm about. I'm about inside. I'm about when they come inside, how to tell them not to get caught up in that bullshit. How to change yourself.
Resurrect.
There it is. You know? So I'm more about what's inside. You know? That's what H.O.L.A's got to tell us.
That's that
H.O.L.A, we ain't just about out here, we about inside.
The thing what we trying to do
Not
is
just inside prison, but inside of you too.
That's right.
The things inside of you, your
That's
mindset,
what
your
we
brain,
talking
your
about.
word, the inside of you
That's
that
what
need
we
to change.
talking about.
But definitely, like you're saying, we are also about the conditions in our neighborhood
That's
that
right.
gets us inside.
Yes,
That
that's
brings
right.
us inside.
To tell them guys.
Most people know Grammarly as a spelling and grammar tool, but it's actually so much more than that. It can look at whatever you're writing and it will automatically suggest spelling and grammatical changes that you could potentially make. And if you want, you can always highlight the
No, shout out to Larry, Luqmon White. Really appreciate and thank you for just blessing us with his time. And may he be always blessed, you know, in the realm of the ancestors. Ashe. And man, a lot of wisdom talking about the insides. From insides and That's why we really appreciate our legacy. You know, it's very, very important to read, study, and learn from our elders, from our legacy. So let's get into the updates. First, I want to shout out our brother on the tech helping us as always, Isaac Quarterly. And please, follow and sign up with Isaac Quarterly doing, video and visual art production. This brother has been helping us for the, last 7 years. And, his work is really phenomenal. And it's really community specific. So I really appreciate his work. So thank you. Upcoming, which is very urgent. We have an urgent action which is needed to prevent Mumia Abu-Jamal's permanent blindness. Mumia Abu-Jamal has been suffering with an eye disease since April, and he is losing vision each and every day. We need to put pressure on the state to support the Free Mumia Abu-Jamal campaign, to support this action. Go to Instagram, follow Bring Mumia Home. I'll say that again, on IG at Bring Mumia Home. And they have a clear format and instruction on how to call and email the Pennsylvania government officials and demand that Mumia gets medical treatment. So there you could find that information. Also, to learn more about Mumia, there's a short film produced called Manufacturing Guilt on YouTube. We'll also drop that in the link so you can learn more about Mumia Abu-Jamal, who is one of our freedom fighters from the MOVE movement, Black Panther Party, who is a political prisoner, and we need to free him and put, as I said, pressure on the state to demand medical treatment now. You can also learn about the crisis on Black Power Media, which is also on YouTube. Secondly, September 11th from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m., H.O.L.L.A, the Kabaka Alice Luqmon Institute of Non-Traditional Approaches to Human and Healing Justice presents and in honoring of the 54th anniversary of the Long Attica Revolt. We're having an event to co-create space and honor the work of our legacy in the spirit of Attica's anniversary, as well as to uplift the continuation of that work through the Legacy Tour project, right? Which we're here today to talk about our book, H.O.L.La's Legacy Tour project, Healing from Historical Trauma, which is a African-centered, non-traditional approach to healing from historical trauma. And we'll get more deeply into that later, but there's the link so you could RSVP as well as pre-order the book. Also, on September 13th, the Wild event, join us. H.O.L.L A is being honored by our family, our sisters from Restore Forward, Black Women's Blueprint, and they are having a feast with music, with healing, with love in the woods on September 13th. And it is a part of the capital campaign to transform 453 acres of land upstate New York into a place for the world to recover, for our Africans, for our indigenous community, for those in need of healing and restoration. And so you could get your tickets. The link is being shared, as well as learn more about Restore Forward and the work that they're doing. And as I said, H.O.L.A is being honored on that day. And, we are very grateful. We have been working with Black Women Blueprint, Restore Forward for the last, I would say, 6 years. And we have really connected our ancestry, our legacy, right? We have went places back home to our legacy, to Ghana, right? To restore and recover and heal with each other and learn from each other. So we trust and honor the work they're doing, and hope other folks could learn about the work they're doing as well. On Sunday, September 21st, the last day of the summer, join the Freedom Fighter contingent in Harlem's 56th annual African American Day Parade. Right, this is the Freedom Fighter contingent, right? Being, as I said, in the legacy of the Black Liberation Movement, right? You could learn with your elders, support your elders. And this is some of the work that they're asking for support in, but also letting folks know that this is happening and you should get involved. If you want to RSVP, you can email Brother Shep at panthershepcat@AOL.com. That is Panther Shep, SHEPCAT @AOL.com. And that's for the, check-in and line-up instructions for the day of, which will be at 1 p.m. And you can also donate for the Panther Legacy Float we're dropping the link there, but at HTTP, we're dropping the link there. And the donation is very important for the float, for our former political prisoners and elders who are no longer able, can march with us. And we'll be also gathering at 1 p.m. on the east side of 111th Street between Adam Clayton Powell Jr. and Malcolm X Boulevard. And you can help decorate the float at 12 p.m. Next, coming up on September 24th. Yep, on September 24th, Harlem Palestine Peace Walk for Justice and Liberation. And Taina Asili is having a march, right? And you could go follow Harlem Peace Walk for Justice and Liberation on Instagram. Lastly, RAP, Releasing Asian People in Prison, January 21st, 2026. They're having their next parole justice for the People's Campaign for Parole Justice. They're having their next Parole Justice Advocacy Day. This is happening, as I said, January 21st, 2026, at the New York State Capitol in Albany. The link is there to RSVP. And if you want to learn about the 2 bills that we are trying to push and pass, which is the Fair and Timely Parole Bill, as well as the Elderly Parole Bill, you can learn more at that link that we're sharing. So no, thank you for getting those updates. We hope to, see you at these places. And we hope that this information was helpful. Because, sharing this is very important for the people. And so thank you. Now we want to,
Can I
get.
share? Can I share a couple of more updates real fast?
Mhm.
Just real quick. The 17th annual NYC Black Panther Party Film Festival is being held in Harlem the last week of September, September 25th, 26th, and 27th, and also the first week of October, October 3rd and October 4th. So you can also hit up Brother Shep, the same information that we shared earlier, to learn more about that. And that film festival is really important, showing the works and the knowledge and the PE. It's a chance for political education for the community and for families. And then lastly, we have in our fourth annual Curve Fest in New York City, October 18th in South Jamaica Housing in Queens, Southside Jamaica, Queens. So shout out to the Curve Fest movement. Mini Curve Fest is already jumping off. In New York, it's going to be October 18th. So look out more for the registration and the flyers. We'll try. I don't think we made the registration public yet, so that's coming soon. And then I pass it back to you, just so we want to do this next part. We want to kind of just introduce the Kabaka, Alice, and Luqmon Institute and its history, and give a little bit knowledge around why we updated the analysis and how that analysis is part of the process. And then after that, we'll actually get into talking about, the Legacy Tour book. That's one of the examples of how we put our methodology and our analysis that's in the Kabaka institution into practice, studying H.O.L.La's work. And we want to share the lessons from that book, why that book is important, and how that book relates to like the teachings and the kind of teachings that's going to come from the Kabaka Institute. And then we're going to share the website, how y'all can, get more engaged with that. So I'll pass it back to you, sir.
Yes. So now thank you for that. So, special shout out to Kabaka, Eddie Ellis, Alice Green, and Luqmon Larry White, for imparting in this information as well as this legacy to us, right? And that means we have to be integral to that legacy. And this institution for the legacy and H.O.L.L.A, which is bigger than our single mission, but adds on to our own local community power and empowerment. So this is an institution that is outside of H.O.L.L.A and will be its own separate institution for the legacy of our elders and their teachings and memory.
Ashe.
And the theoretical framework of the Kabaka Alice Luqmon Institute is rooted and grounded in over 60 years of our local New York City legacies, scholarship analysis, learned lessons, cultivated through the analysis, reflections, and further developments of the works of the Civil Rights Movement, the Black Power Movement, the Black Liberation Movement, the Puerto Rican Independence Movement, the 1970s Prison Rights Movement, and the Black and Brown Indigenous communities in New York City under siege by the war. The Kabaka Alice Luqmon Institute of Non-Traditional Approaches of Human and Healing Justice Pedagogy, comprised of generational knowledge from an array of Black African Liberation Pan-African grassroots organizations to aid and support in the struggle for the individual resurrection grassroots community organizing and dismantling of systems of oppression that maintains the war on African people that we call the African Ma'afa, persists as an African per historical analysis of systematic atrocities inflicted on African Black people by a system of white supremacy, global racism, such as colonization, enslavement, and thereafter, producing a global cultural of anti-Blackness that consistently targets and attacks the African and Indigenous nation. The Kabaka Alice Luqmon Institute includes the direct relationship and wisdom from the Greenhaven think tank, the Resurrection Study Group, and the Bedford Hill Sisters, as well as how our lives link all together, H.O.L.L.A. We are a group of organizers, formerly incarcerated leaders, scholars, researchers, trainers, facilitators, visionaries, youth, elders, consultants, and we come in the spirit of grassroots movements for liberation. Ashe.
Ashe.
And, you know, we have transformed and are updating and have updated the non-traditional approach to social and criminal justice to human and healing justice. Because we have understood, shout out to Dr. Ori Burton on the book From the Long Attica Revolt, that really talks about counterinsurgency. And we have seen this and understood this and have studied this and seen that, you know, the NTA has been co-opted, but also understanding and observing program pacification, observing programs that are not addressing the root cause of violence and oppression on Black, Brown, Indigenous communities, right? Which the NTA has communicated as institutional racism, right? The crime generative factors. And so, you know, programs, the reentry program, alternative justice, restorative justice, cure violence, all these programs are part of pacification and co-optation and are not addressing the root cause of violence. And I would also say, yes, that's what I would say. And that's why we are moving from this framework and ideology, and we would even say white supremacist framework of criminal justice, and move into a more Black-centered approach with human justice. Right? And we understand human justice as healing the damage of the violence that has happened to African Indigenous communities, the historical violence that has happened, and having a greater vision for our communities, using our legacy, our knowledge, our ancestry. You want to say a few words?
Nah, this is good, man. You know, we are standing on our legacy of our elders, and we are also adding on to the legacy, trying to, you know, make it make sense for the context that we in, the social environment that we are at, and where our development is at right now too. So we understand that our legacy has been co-opted. And also writing our analysis down and adding on to our intellectual, institutional artifacts of wisdom collection is really important. So we still kept the non-traditional approach because it's that framework that resurrected us, right? That brought us under the legacy, right? And we're looking at this from an African worldview. Our analysis of the criminal and the social justice have been co-opted. So we have updated those elements to human and healing justice. And within that framework, we now got 4 theories of resurrections that we won't get into it right here, but it's not just a non-traditional approach of criminal and social justice. We also have added healing justice, and we also have added the concept of Afrikan Mayafa, or the war. And lastly, we have added, shout out to John Henry Clark, Dr. Ben, Sheikh Anta Diop, Mama Marima Ani, and all of our African Center scholars, particularly Baba Professor James Smalls, who introduced the concept African sacred science. Right, so we understand the NTA through all of those 4 concepts as a means for how we live our life, how we build our programs, and how we think about our worldview. From that, those ideas are grounded in the Kabaka, Alice, and Luqmon Institute. That's what's so special about this. Not only are we carrying on a legacy and got all of the stories from the NTA, we also got the wisdom around how the NTA has been attacked, has been impacted, has been not useful, and we are attempting to also update that NTA analysis. And that leads us right into one of our first, we got the event on September 11th, and that launch event is shouting out to Attica, which is part of our 1970 prison rights movement, the Greenhaven think tank, the Long Attica Revolt. That's part of the Kabaka, Alice, and Luqmon Institute legacy as well. That's the pedagogy that we come from. So we having that event to honor and have a commemoration for our legacy, our elders, our ancestors, and the continued work. But we also are launching our institution that day, and we are releasing our book with our community-specific methodology that has an example already of how H.O.L.L.A, which is H.O.L.L A is critical with building this formation, use this kind of methodology and this community-specific analysis, this Afrocentral analysis, these analysis of this framework of the 4 theories of resurrections, and put it into a methodology of organizing, healing, and studying with our family, right? And that became the Legacy Tour book. And I want to read a little bit about that. Is that okay, Jasiri? I'm on point with reading a little bit about that.
Yeah.
And then after we read a little bit about it, we're going to actually go into a little bit about what a Legacy Tour is, and experience a little bit of the Legacy Tours. We want y'all to come out on the 11th and buy books. We don't want to give it to you all right here. Y'all might not come out. But we do want y'all to understand, what's some of the lessons from this. So I found the screen. Let me pull it up now. So can y'all all see this? Jasiri, you see this with us?
Yes.
So I'm just going to highlight some things to kind of get y'all on what the Legacy Tour book is, how it's critical to the launch of the Kabaka, Alice, and Luqmon Institute, really demonstrating not just words, but a practice, a methodology of science. And we even took the time and analysis to write it out so that we could try to share that science with the community, right? So this is an ongoing process. We come from the 1970 prison rights movement, which comes from the Black Power, which comes from the New African Independence movement, which comes from the Black Power movement, which comes from the students' rights movement, the civil rights movement. We can go back and back, right? But for context here, we go to 2015, 2018, our youth organizing collective, which is the movement arm of H.O.L.L A, we started developing nationally and internationally and deeply local in New York City, our healing justice movement, right? And that was an intentional practice that was youth-led. And we deal with young people from the 7 neighborhoods, Black and brown young people impacted by the punishment system or the war with the goal of building movement to rebuild the community infrastructure through ourselves and through community healing, facilitated through intergenerational community organizing that was rooted in a Pan-African practice of Black liberation. Right? So our healing justice movement was designed by us. We started organizing circles with other young people and other formations, right? So that we can engage in learning about our history, sharing our stories, connecting harm done by structural violence and state violence in the US and beyond the US, right? And over the course of doing that, we collected surveys, data, experience. We started analyzing that after 4 years, and we evaluated that process, right? The surveys, and we learned a lot. You know, we learned a lot from that process, and that process has led us to the process that we are in now, right? So, you know, we got a documentary out that breaks down what we learned from that process. We got a dissertation out, so the documentary is called "We Came to Heal." The dissertation is called "Grassroots Tales: Journeys of Inward Healing and Outward Movement Building." We made an album, a healing justice album, to report those findings back, called the Report Back. But the work continued, right? From continuing studying that movement, now going into 2019 to 2021, right? We started to get into more of a deeper process of re-Africanizing ourselves, tapping more deeply into our African ancestry and our Black liberation traditions. And as I said to y'all earlier, this is when we started formulating and really crystallizing around our theories of resurrections, the African war. The African Mayafa and the war. What we really meant by that, pulling on the literatures and the science of our elders and ancestors and understanding our current conditions. Studying African sacred science. What is our Pan-African understanding of our cosmological story, our connections to ecology, cosmology, and family and community development all at the same time? What is our myths about that? What is our science around that Pan-African before the war hit us? And we kept our NTA analysis, and we've been building on healing justice the last 10, 15 years. So that crystallized us coming together to develop a more focused analysis on historical trauma, generational trauma within the war, within our violence, within our relationships, within our youth program, within policy making, right? How do we make sense of it? How do we understand it? How do we pull it apart from the larger aspects of the war, the interpersonal violence, right? The state, the systematic violence. How do we connect the history to that, the historical violence, the generational trauma to it, right? And sometimes we lump them all together, but we was trying to pull it apart through this process, right? So we wanted to learn about the African civilizations like the Ma Confederation, the Kush Empire, Kemet, Black indigenous people in Europe, Asia, America, the Black Native Americans right here in Mississippi, Brazil, Haiti, Puerto Rico, right? Learn about the Maroons and how we've been developed into Negroes and free men, right? All the way up to, you know, the civil rights movement, etc. I close by saying a couple of more things. So we analyzed sharecropping, segregation, trauma produced by Black codes. We studied our perspective, his and hers, and in between perspective from an African perspective. This is evidence-based. Not only did we analyze the archives and study the records, we studied our own lives with the records, right? We mapped the prison system and how it developed from colonization, from enslavement and colonization. We have learned about the students' right movement. Shout out to Kwame Ture, Robert Williams, Maple Williams, Ella Baker, Malcolm X, Queen Mother Moore. We have went through our own ritual processes outside of this that may not even get in the book. Internal study, internal development. That's central to how we got to writing this book, how we got to thinking about how do we re-Africanize ourselves, thinking about our historical reality, our historical violence, our historical trauma, and not only how do we think about it, how do we heal against it, right? How do we develop a movement strategy, a liberation strategy, a science coming from the Kabaka, Alice, and Luqmon analysis that can respond to that. And we said that because we learned a lot from Dr. Maria Yellow Bravehorse around historical trauma, unresolved grief, Dr. Joy DeGary Leary about post-traumatic slave syndrome, Dr. Franz Cress Welsland about the war, right? And we learn about the theoretical and empirical implications of what historical trauma is. But many times when we look in the literature, when we look in our community, right, this work is not directly applied in practice, and particularly not in practice in our families, in our neighborhoods, in our youth programs, in our movement programs. What's our praxis for healing and organizing historical trauma and historical violence, right? So that's what was triggering us to kind of dig deeper into this process. And how do we heal from state violence, internalized violence, anti-Blackness, forgetting? That's long ago, but it still show up in our spirit. It's still in our relationships. It clogs up our mind with the fog, not only of capitalism, not only of greed, but of white European ideas that don't get you back to who you are. So this was a non-traditional tactic within what we call a science of Black liberation, to rescue, to decriminalize, to end the prosecution of our community practices, right? Because we used a community-specific methodology to heal historical trauma. We used our literature, our history of African culture, of the Mayafa, Black liberation traditions, our genetic memory. We assimilated as much as we can. And then we created a methodology to bring our families and our community through the process to regain institutional memory by studying our African civilization. So I'm not going to go into all of the findings. It's 8 big findings. I'm going to pass it to Jasiri to give you a little bit glimpse into one of those tours, so you get some of the insights of it. And then we're going to close out on just giving y'all some more information about how y'all can come to the event on 11th, how y'all can log onto the website, start ordering the books. But I close this part by saying the book is really critical. It's a photo voice analysis. So you're going to see a lot of photos of us and our family and community all across the country. So even if you don't read the words and get the analysis, you'll probably appreciate the love you see, the spirit you see in the photos. But if you want to take it further and read the analysis and the methodology that we're offering around healing historical trauma using our genetic memory, and then accompany that about 8 findings that the preliminary findings, we got a lot more study to do, but it's 8 big preliminary findings. So this is not just about a book and about pictures. We want y'all to seriously take a look at the methodology and really analyze that with the findings and critique it, add on to it. And I'll pass it to Jasiri to keep going.
No, Ashe. And I know we're saying like the book, the book is, related to a practice that we are, we want people to engage in, right? Because as we said, these approaches that are program pacification, that is co-opted, that is not about African sovereignty, that is not about healing from crime-generated factors, healing the root causes. These programs are to decolonize us and to reconnect us with our history and our ancestry. And without history, we do not know where we are going if we do not know where we have been, right? And so that is very important to why we're sharing this. So yeah, in 2021, this is one of, I'm forgetting which number this tour was.
5, 6, and 7. That was like 5, 6, and 7.
Yeah, 5 through 7, because we went to 3 different areas: South Carolina, North Carolina, and as well as Atlanta. And so in 2021, we took our families, our took our families with us on this process of healing, right? Of re-Africanizing, of reconnecting, not just definitely a Sankofa process, right? The Sankofa process, which is not just about the information that we are going to obtain about our ancestry and our people, but also the information we learn about each other, the ways that we could be together.
I say.
This is why we saying this these findings, this analysis is very important because we want to help our families to be able to do these programs for themselves, but be very intentional about why we're doing these programs, right? To be out of tourism. We're not trying to do tourism. We're not going to Puerto Rico to support the genocide that's happening in Puerto Rico. We're not going to the Bahamas to support the genocide that's happening in those lands. We're not going to Mexico to support the genocide and the violence that's happening to those lands, right? And so that's why I said this is a decolonizing process. And it's very delicate because telling your families that we're not about to go to a 5-star resort, they're gonna be like, "What? We're about to be people." And that means that, it takes a lot of time and energy. And that's why even the facilitators, those who are facilitating this process, have to be ready, have to be prepared, and have to even ask themselves these questions and understand those challenges that may come. So yes, we went on this legacy tour in 2021 to South Carolina, North Carolina, as well as Atlanta. And our days was long, full of spirit. And as I said, before we even got there, we had to talk about the roles and responsibilities, right? We had to ensure accountability and safety of each other, right? And some of those roles was like, yo, who's gonna be waking up folks in the morning? I don't know about y'all. I'm not the best to get woke up in the morning, right? But when you understand the protocol, you understand what we came here to do. Yeah, we said we was gonna wake up at 7 so we could go do these things. So I will be up, right? This is about integrity, right? And H.O.L.L.A, we done did over how many legacy tours? 50, 60, over 60 legacy tours. So it is about learning and understanding each other as we are going through these processes, right? Some of those roles is also who's cooking, right? Who's cleaning, keeping track of the time, co-facilitation, preparing breakfast, right? So it's very important to understand, when we are going and doing these legacy tours, that we have a lot of logistics that need to be covered, and it's a part of all of us being a part of the roles and engaging as a family and community together to get those done. And, most of the legacy tours consisted of, like I said, daily check-in to ground ourselves for the day's mission and activities. We held personal development and political education sessions centered on these 3 interconnected research questions of Black liberation that is rooted on all of the legacy tours that we've done. The first question is, what should be remembered to foster healing and educate the next generation? The second, what are the critical lessons, experiences, and victories we can learn from our elders, ancestors that are essential to healing Black youth and community from generational trauma? And the third is, what relationships, processes, practices, and or uncovered and or uplifted in creating this new African-centered community-specific approach, right? So we ended every day doing African sacred healing circles to reflect on the learned lessons of the day and to answer those questions with each other. Right? And we had game time, we had free time, we had play time, but we also had this time to heal with each other. And when we went to South Carolina, we first went to learn about the Stoner Rebellion. And there, we learned about the Stoner Rebellion, which was in 1739, one of the largest insurrections in North America, led by enslaved Africans and Black Native Americans, who would later name themselves the Gullah Geechee Nation. Right? And so that was very important for us to be on that land. And then we also, I don't know, coincidentally, or it was by spirit or by, certain other energies, that we was acquainted by Mr. Curtis and Miss Miller, who Mr. Curtis owned the land that had one of the sheds where the insurgents got the weaponry to complete and to fulfill their rebellion, to gain their independence, right? And so that was very important, not just to read about the story, but to be like, yo, this is the place our ancestors touched. This is the place where it all went down. And it was also a fight for him to get that land, right? A fight for us to maintain that story and that history. And Mr. Curtis told us, how he had to, fight to get the land from this white woman who wouldn't give it to him because he was Black, right? So it's very important that we learn these stories, be with our families, and honor our legacy as African Black people, while we understand that this history and this story is continuously being erased and is continuously not being promoted and pushed in our educational system. So I don't want to go too far into all of it, because this, y'all should definitely, get the book. Please sign up on the Kabaka Alice Luqmon Institute website, the KAL Institute.com .org website. And there you'll be able to, order the book. You can also learn about the different programs that I believe Corey is about to just, speak upon. Thank you. And please come September 11th, because we're going to have testimonies from some of the young people who've been on the legacy tours. Hopefully a testimony from Jabari Osage, which is a Kemetic priest who took us to Kemet, misnomered Egypt, which was where we did one of our legacy tours as well, and studied our Kemetic ancient ancestry. So please come through, and I pass. Thank you.
Fire, fire, fire. We let some of that wisdom sit in up there, man. We wrapping up, man. Share the live. Share the live. Let's let some of that wisdom just set in from the Cal Institute, the Legacy Tour books. Thank you for that wisdom, Jasiri. I hope y'all seeing the importance of slow work, important work, thick work, ritual ceremonies that are scientific. This is all stuff we're trying to develop a higher level of science to move towards re-Africanizing ourselves and building ourselves up. We're going to close by just letting y'all know the Kabaka, Alice, and Luqmon Institute is coming in October. And our website is now officially launched. Shout out to Isaac and Quarterly and just the work of Brother Isaac. Shout out to Jasiri and H.O.L.L.A and once again, all of our legacy. But a lot of work to get the website ready. And shout out to H.O.L.L.A because H.O.L.L.A is not getting paid to do none of this. Right? H.O.L.L.A is doing all of this out the spirit of H.O.L.L.A's love and energy for our legacy, for our elders and for our ancestors. We put in work in. So we put work in for the website. It's up now. You can get access to the book on the website. You can start learning about what's the mission, what's the aims, what's the legacy of the program. We're looking forward for feedback. Once you go on the website, you got to sign up to become a member, and then you get access to behind, the homepage. We got our trainings. We're going to be doing non-traditional approaches to human and healing justice trainings, which is a combination of the NTA of the past and the NTA of the new. A 3-day training. You can sign up right on our website for the training, and we start conversating and getting that moving with you. The institution is launching in October. So this is a perfect time for you to start signing up now. We're trying to get pre-signups. Secondly, we're going to have a training on our Black Liberation African Center analysis of participatory action research. We've been doing, our legacy tour is built around participatory action research analysis, community-specific frameworks within those analysis. So we talk about, we was trained and did a lot of work with the Graduate Center, the Public Science Project, Dr. Michelle Fine, Dr. Marie Torre, Brett Stout. But we also come from the Greenhaven think tank, the Resurrection Study Group, Bedford Hills, the Young Lords, the Black Panthers, and our Pan-African African Sacred Science, which been documenting community inquiry for a long time. So we talk about scientific collections and analyzation for movement building, and how we can use research as a tactic within our movement building. And once again, these training, this institution is for us to respond and to attack traditional institutions, right? Institutions that are not working class, right? But that are serving and working in the working class. So if you're a working class institution, we need you to hit us up. You might need to get in contact with H.O.L.L.A because H.O.L.L.A is offering very similar services to our people in the community. But if you're a working class institution and even if they in our neighborhood and they say they grassroots, but they don't got an African worldview, they're not talking about Black liberation, and they don't got the right analysis, and those are the people that we are trying to introduce and reintroduce a Black liberation science, an empirical science of development and socialization and healing, and actually organizing that our communities need, that respond to the community-specific reality that's connected to the historical reality of the people in our communities, and not just imposing programs with European frameworks and theoretical frameworks, but Black people leading the programs. Those things are not working for us no more. In closing on that point, so we got the NTA training, non-traditional approach to human and healing justice 3-day training. We got the Black Liberation Participatory Action Research training, and we also got the African Roots of Healing Justice training, a critique to restorative justice, the non-traditional critique to restorative justice. All of these are 3-day experiences filled with healing. All 4 theories of our resurrection analysis are in all of these trainings. So the pedagogy is engaging, it's interpersonal. The spirit of the training is about grassroots organizing and movement building while we learning. If you go to the website, you can learn more about these. You can hit us up and learn more about these. We want everybody to share the website with other people, and also come to the event at the AME Church on 116th Street in Madison. Once again, a church that Brother Isaac is organizing at, doing a lot of important community work around and from, and in the spirit of renewing and re-Africanizing our AME history and our AME history and the church reality to the community. So H.O.L.L.A is also in that dynamic with Brother Isaac and the AME Church. We also re-theorizing, because we believe the church was useful for Black liberation. And we believe that counterinsurgency and co-optation has moved the church to a whole nother place and the community to a whole nother place. So even the work that we do and having an event at the AME Church is part of a larger work that we doing to think about what's the genetic memory of the church in our community, and particularly the AME Church in our community, right? So once again, come to the event, buy your book, share the link, get your family there. Don't just buy the book to support us, buy the book to study. Buy the book to learn about community-specific methodologies of healing historical trauma, and to critique the book, to help it grow, to help it get better, and to affirm it where it needs to get affirmed at. It's already, did its job. So with that, thank you. I'll pass it to Jasiri to say any last things that they want to say. But it was a pleasure to be able to work on a Kabaka, Alice and Luqmon Institute, and to really, we just got, we've been in a lot of dialogue with H.O.L.L.A with elders from our movement, and some of that dialogue is about them giving us feedback. Our elders love us, and we learn a lot from our elders. We spend a lot of time talking to many elders. Like I said, these three elders, Kabaka, Alice, and Luqmon, it's not like we're trying to erase the rest of our elders and our ancestors. They are people that we see as a symbol to talk about the kind of bills that we have with our elders and ancestors. And Larry, Baba Hassan, one of the Greenhaven think tank person who's still an elder, he's still around with us. I just want to shout Baba Hassan out, who teaches a lot about the stories that went on in prison in the 60s and the 70s, the formation of the Greenhaven think tank, what happened after Attica, how things kept going or didn't keep going. And that kind of knowledge is priceless. And that kind of spirit is priceless. And it's an honor just to be connected to that kind of feedback and that kind of study. And we hoping that, we doing justice by building this work right here that could continue those kind of things and those kind of elders' teachings that the next generations after us and with us. And we also very humble. We also are trying to put the spirit out with generations that come after us, be excited like we are about doing work for our elders, doing work for our community, and spending time with our community, even when the feedback is tough sometimes. But most of the time, the feedback is love, and the feedback is healing. And even when it's tough, it's love and it's healing. So shout out to all of our community, all of our elders and our family members. Keep giving us love, keep giving us feedback, and we are moving towards Black liberation. You could bet that.
Ashe. Thank y'all for tuning in, and we will see you soon. All power to the people.
Free the land, all power to the people. Get the links, click the links. Pass the web series out. Resurrect.
I came to heal what you came to do. I came to build what you came to do. I came to chill what you came to do. But if I gotta kill just to make it through, brat, I'ma make sure I make it you. But I said we came to heal what you came to do. But I said we came to build what you came to do. But I said we came to chill what you came to do. But if we gotta kill just to make it through, brat, we gonna make sure we make it you. But I said we all came to heal what they came to do. I said we all came to build what they came to do. I said we all came to chill, what they came to do. But if we gotta kill just to make it through, brat, we gonna make sure we make it true. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. YOC, we in the building. I said, healing justice is a strategy. Responding to historical tragedy. Now YOC in the building, they gonna be mad at we. Soon as the tip off, the D's pull up slow, we dip off. It's routine, it's street knowledge, but we not here just organizing against a policy. Picture me giving apology to the people who lied to me, standing on spirit, speaking the prophecy. I went from property to half freed and back to property. Shit is like Monopoly, and it used to be all about the cheddar. Now it's how our lives link all together. We sit in circles and make it better, collectively hurting together. It's old pain, it's new pain. We like no more pain. And ever since we learned about white supremacy, we ain't been the same. I'm talking about the slaves, ships, whips, and the chains. I'm talking about the cuffs, metal detectors, and up north trips, and how family get divorced quick and culture get lost in other wisdom, and how our relationships is filled with ism, and how that trauma be laying beneath the surface. Nah, I don't think you get the purpose. I said, healing justice is a strategy. Responding to historical tragedy. Now YOC in the building, you gonna be mad at we. Holla, it's the report back. We in the building.